Hey there, and welcome to That's Audacious, where we share entrepreneurial stories from amazing leaders to inspire and motivate you to be bold, brave, and audacious. I'm your host, Lauren Clement, the brand navigator, here to share stories that will make you say, well, that's audacious. Hello and welcome to the That's Audacious podcast. I have the most extraordinary guest with us today who I happened to meet when I was in Austin, Texas at the National Speakers Association. And Libby and I just seem to get on like a house on fire from the get-go. We have so much in common, including we both have very small feet and love buying nice cheap shoes because of that. But Libby is an extraordinary person in the book publishing community. So she's founded a company called the Strategic Book Advisors because she believes that every expert has a story worth telling, and that the right book can completely change the trajectory of a business. And nothing excites us more and excites these guys more than helping professionals transform their experience into building authority and having that confidence to step out and create a lasting impact. So I'm so excited to have Libby on the show today, all the way from the USA. Libby, tell us a little bit about why you got into this. Were you always interested in books? Were you a great reader? What got you started in this world?
Well, I can honestly say that I had been thinking about writing a book for probably 15, 20 years. And so my journey started with my own book, finding a ghostwriter. I got into this program that coached me through it and all that kind of stuff. So I actually ended up creating a book. It's for mental toughness for teen athletes because I raised a teen athlete. My background's in exercise science. I'm a certified nutritional counselor. I'm certified mental toughness coach. I was a D1 sports performance and nutrition coach, the whole thing. So I wanted to write a book for parents, helping them raise their teen athlete and kind of the realizations that went along with that and helping them help their kid. And then from there, 7 books later, there we go. Then I ended up coaching individuals, thousands of them, on creating their own books, which was a great experience. I love that. I have to say, I was a teacher before, so I have this very servant heart kind of mind where I just love seeing people get excited about their own success. So we started Strategic Book Advisors because we had expertise in creating books and helping individuals create their books. But also we knew that one of the biggest missing pieces was what to do with that book. There's nothing worse than getting a book and being so excited about it. And this is going to be so great. It's going to change everything, my business, how people perceive me, the whole thing. But it never gets there because people don't have a plan to take their books and strategically use it to elevate their business in whatever sense they want to do that.
It's funny, I see it a lot actually with this whole, I've got an amazing story, or I really want to create more impact, or I want my story to help other people's lives, but they just don't understand the marketing side of things. And when I come from a marketing and branding background. So to me, it's a no-brainer that while you are thinking of the concept of your book, you're also thinking who's going to buy it, who's going to read it, how are they going to implement it, and so on. And that long knock-on effect that you have with a book, that you can then turn that into a program, a keynote presentation, a coaching program, etc. Or a lead generator, lots of things you can do with a book. What do you think that reasoning is? Is it just a lack of knowledge and understanding, or is it that people are just so focused on the immediate first step of, oh my goodness, it's going to be hard to write a book?
I think that that's a big part of it. I thought about that book for 15 years, like forever. And I think a lot of people sit back and they've been thinking about, I need to write this book. I need to do this. And so I kind of liken it like this. If Mount Everest is going to be your book, creating your book, writing your book, I'm pretty confident you're not going to go up Mount Everest by yourself with a backpack going, I got this. I know what I'm doing, right? You need the Sherpa. You need the guide. So we're that Sherpa, we're that guide to help you get that book going and get to the top of Mount Everest and say, now I've got this book. But along the way, we help you create strategies to utilize this book. But I think so many people get they can't see the forest for the trees. They're like, the book is the thing that's going to make it, without realizing that they need all of these other key components to really elevate their business to the next level.
Yeah, I love it. Now, Libby, my next question to you is a bit of an interesting one, because people might be listening to this thinking, okay, this sounds great, but I'm not sure whether I've got a worthy story. I'm not sure whether I've got the right, do you know what I mean? It's got a good story, but I don't know whether it's even worthy of being a book, let alone worthy of winning awards and doing all those sorts of things. Is there such a thing as a bad idea for a book? Or are they all good ideas that could be turned into a book?
Okay, I'm going to definitely say there are some bad ideas for books. And that's just the rock bottom truth of it. We saw a book come through the other day, and it was about creating a contract for your family for cell phones. And I was like, okay, well, that's cool, but is that really a book? Like, seriously, right? It seems like it was kind of like a parenting thing all thrown together. But I truly believe that this is something that I see all the time. There's a demographic of people, typically women, typically 45 and older, with tons of experience, life experience, and work experience, all kinds of things. And when I talk to them about their book, they're like, well, I don't see anybody reading my book. And I think to myself, you have so much knowledge, so much experience, so many great stories that you can share to empower someone else, to help them feel not alone anymore in their own struggles, or even in their own goals. Or maybe you've got a great process that you've developed throughout your career. You need to get that down and get that out there, because in all honesty, if the book is on your laptop, it's not helping anyone. And there are a lot of people out there, and there's a lot of books, not gonna lie, but your voice might find that one person who looks at your book and goes, oh my gosh, they're writing about me, or they're writing this for me. What a great gift. Imagine how that would feel, knowing that you wrote that book for that person.
Yeah, amazing. Isn't it funny that this is something that occurs mostly with women? That whole, we call it the tall poppy syndrome, the imposter syndrome, that I'm not as good. And often they compare themselves to, Bren Brown or, anybody else who's written amazing books. And they go, oh, I can't possibly be as good as her. And it's like, it's not about comparing your books to others, because it's a very quick way, isn't it? If you go to look on Amazon to see how many other books are there about parenting, or how many other books are there about surviving medical mispractice or whatever, oh, there's lots, if the minute you did that, you would give up straight away. I like the fact that you talk about your story being specific for an audience and something that connects with people. Now, you talk about this as being strategic. How early on in your process are you actually talking to your authors about, okay, yep, let's get your book written, but let's think about the end result. Let's think about who's going to read it, where it's going to be used in terms of growing your profile. So how early in that process do you start talking about the strategy?
Before we even start writing the book. So we actually have this, I want to say it's a 25, 28 questionnaire. Who is your book for? What do you want them to get out of it? What is the goal in writing this book? This may just be, I want to get my memoir out there, which is fabulous. But it also might be, hey, I want to elevate my business, and a book can open so many doors. I could send my book, my experience, to an investor that I'm going to meet with in a couple of weeks and say, hey, looking forward to talking about my business model, blah, blah, blah. Here's a little bit more about me, and send them a book. Imagine that conversation starts from such a different spot. So we gather that information before we even have a conversation, because we want to know, where do you see your book going? And then from there, I can, sprinkle in ideas and thoughts so that we can start creating that book with the end goal in mind, with the strategy that we're going to implement in mind. So one of the things that we also start doing very early on is creating what we call an advanced reader team, or an advanced reader copy, where you are creating a marketing list for your book already. Who do you want to read your book and give you feedback? Who's that going to be? Let's ask if they're willing to do that. Because what a great opportunity for you to get feedback before it's even published. But also, if you get a great quote from somebody well-known in your industry, we can throw that sucker right on the cover. That's awesome.
Yeah, brilliant. This is why I love the discussion we had when we were together in Austin, was because I talk all the time about writing a book being like the two wheels on a bike, one wheel being the creation of the book, the other wheel being the marketing, and how it's so often people don't think about getting that other wheel going until they've finished writing the book. But this way, your approach means that not only are you going to get a better quality book out of it because it's marketable, it's saleable, it's someone will pick it up and instantly connect with it, and you're not having to then reprint another version of it after you've got reviews and testimonials and so on. But also, by the time you've written your book, you've now got an audience, you've now got a community who wants to know about that book, and there's a whole process behind not just writing the book but launching that book and then continuing to grow that book and turning it into impact. You also work with people for like up to a year after the book's been done as well. What is it that you do to help authors with that?
So we have a year-long email marketing that we embedded into our book process. In addition to that, they get a podcast. So you and I would sit down and discuss your book. Then you get a copy of that for your marketing, for your socials, for your website, all of that kind of stuff, which we can also help you do, like snip it up and all that kind of thing. You also get a lead magnet that we embed into your book. So now the most random person buys your book, they read it, it makes a difference to them. They want that lead magnet. Now you're marketing through your book, which is great, because you can have a book, but if you don't have a way to capture who's read your book, it's not doing you any good, right? From a marketing standpoint. So we have that the year. And then we also have this weekly mastermind group where you get to talk about marketing and tech and how, with tech changing so much, that changes marketing so incredibly differently than it was 2 years ago. I mean, if you told me that ChatGPT would become my best friend, yes, okay, yep, definitely, then I would go, that's insane. I don't do that. That's not my relationship with my computer. But apparently now ChatGPT is, I call him my boyfriend. My husband totally knows about it and it's fine. But yes, but those are the kinds of things that you have to stay on top of when you're looking to market your book. What are the systems I can put in place that make my life easier, right? If you've ever worked in like Go High Level, they have a socials calendar. So I can literally plan all of my social posts from now till the cows come home in one afternoon. That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, having a system. And I like the fact that the whole thing you do is systemized. I think that's why when we were looking at it, it fits so well with book awards. Because if you've got a book, you really want to be entering it into book awards. I mean, Book Excellence Awards announces once a year in January. So if your books come out in February, you've got a whole year to wait until that award even comes round, right? Some awards are 3 months, some are 6 months before they get announced. Some are international, some are for independent book awards. There's so many of them, but there's also the Thought Leadership Awards and the industry sector awards that you can get into, especially if you're a speaker and you want to get on those stages. And also, I know from in Australia about now, August, September, when we're recording this podcast, is an ideal time for speakers to be getting a book out, because they get a book out and then they contact people and say, are you planning your conference for next year? Because in Australia, things quieten down at Christmas time because everybody goes on summer holidays. In America, that would be June, July. They all go on, and that's when speakers mostly have their holidays, because then it kicks off again. And you want to get your books out there so that they can book you for the next year's conference. So there's a whole timing element around. I guess the whole thing, Libby, is looking at it from a long-term forecast rather than a short-term, I just want to get my book done.
Right.
Something you mentioned just now, and it's the elephant in the room when it comes to books, AI. How are you seeing AI infiltrating your industry? And is it a good thing, a bad thing, or is it just a thing?
Okay, so here's my take on AI books. I think AI is a great tool to help me flesh out ideas, to help me create a structure to my book. Because literally, like, I can throw it all up onto my chat and go, okay, can you organize this for me in a way that makes sense, like beginning to end and all that kind of stuff? And I love it for that. Now, if you've ever read an AI book that has never been edited, never had a human read through it, it's complete slop. And there's not any connection. And here's what I tell my authors all the time. You've got this system. You've got all of these great points. However, I need stories. I need human connection, because this is the way you're going to captivate a reader, by tapping into their emotions. This is something I say all the time. Okay, so Lauren, don't go eat that berry over there. And you're going to go, yeah, okay, I won't. But if I say, Lauren, my uncle ate that berry and he died 2 days later. Now, which story are you going to remember? The impact of someone dying that I cared about, that whole thing is way more relevant to you than just the facts. Don't eat that. It's not good for you. Not the same. So AI is great. As I said, it's a tool, right? Like Michelangelo used a hammer and a chisel, right, to create the David. However, it was his artistry that brought it to life. Just like AI is a great tool, now let us use the human artistry to bring your story to life.
Yeah, and I think it will get better, obviously, as it goes, that maybe there's some editing functions as well. Maybe there's some polishing elements. I know there's AI platforms out there that will record your audiobook for you. There's platforms out there that will format your book for you. There's all those sorts of things. Great. I think you're right. Treating AI as like a spotty intern that's there to help you rather than a writer who's going to write for you. I think you're away. You are listening to the That's Audacious podcast. If you like what you're hearing, there are lots of other episodes just like this one. Look for them on your favorite podcast platform. Libby, if you could go back in time and tell yourself something, some sort of advice to help you with where you are now with your business, what would that be?
I would have to say that it's probably, and I think this is something that many people in my generation, especially women, not excluding men, is the fear factor. How can am I sure I'm good enough? Am I sure I'm clever enough, smart enough? All of these things. And I have to I don't wake up every morning saying, is this really me today? But I always keep telling myself, hey, you know what? I'm smart enough. I've made it this far. For God's sakes, if I can't figure it out, I'll ask for help, which is also a key thing that women don't tend to do. We don't like to ask for help. We feel indebted, whatever the case may be. But I think it's so important for me to just go back and tell myself, don't live with fear. Just do it. And if you were hanging out with me, you wouldn't think that that is something that ever runs through my brain. Because I'm not that. I'm like, jump off a 20-foot, 25 feet into the water. Sure. Am I deathly afraid of heights? Of course I am. But did I do it anyway? Yes, I did. Why? Because I told my daughter, who was 8, that I would. And if I'm going to do it, I'll typically do it.
Do you think that's one of the big tips you would share with people who are thinking, hey, I think I'm ready to write that book, is just do it. Just take the leap of faith and do it?
Yeah, because you can overanalyze it to death. And we have people who come to us and they're like, here's my manuscript. It's 70,000 words long. And I go, that's a lovely exercise to create 2 books. An ideal book is like 30,000 words-ish, because we're not necessarily a culture of readers much anymore. Funny, when you write your book description on Amazon, if it's not written in like bullet form, people will go right by it. So too big a book is too much. Too little of a book becomes a pamphlet. But to overanalyze it and think about it for decades isn't doing you any good. And again, don't forget, someone out there is going to benefit from your message, your methodology, what you have to offer. And sometimes I tell people, it's kind of selfish to keep that to yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So somebody's listening to this, they're going, right, you've convinced me. What's their first step? Libby, what do they need to do to get in touch with you? How do they get started? And what do they need to do?
So pretty simple. We start out with an introductory call where we would flesh out your outline. You'll leave with kind of a draft idea. We'll circle back a couple days later and we'll go through it together. This is what, from our conversation, what I'm looking for in your book. Does this make sense? And then we go from there. Now, that call is completely free. The outline's free. If you want to take it and work on it yourself for the next 10 years, because that will probably take you how long it's going to take, right? Once you think about it, or you can work with us. It's free to do. And you can just shoot me an email at Libby, Libby, not IE, Y, at strategicbookadvisors.com. We tried to make our emails very simple, right? And SBA.com was already taken. So there you go. So it's Libby at strategicbookadvisors.com.
Brilliant. And the links, listeners, will be below this interview. So you can go and check out Libby. You can get in touch with her and you can find out all about the amazing services that they have. Libby, it's been extraordinary to interview on the podcast today. I've so enjoyed our time together. And I think your services fit so beautifully with what the Audacious Agency does. We're very strategic about awards. We're very strategic about personalising every single approach to how we help promote authors. And that fits beautifully with the way that you develop your strategy for people's books, not just for getting the book written, but for actually creating impact and making sure that book has a purpose and it's fulfilling that purpose for the people writing them. Libby, thank you for being on the show. You're just extraordinary. I love the work that you do, and I can see lots of authors doing extraordinary things when they're working with you. If you're listening to this podcast, please get in touch with Libby. She's there to help you bring your book to life, but more importantly, make that impact that you so deserve to have. And you do deserve it. You do deserve to be well-known, well-paid, and wanted. We'll see you in the next episode. Thanks so much for listening to the That's Audacious podcast. Remember, there's no place for modesty in business, and you do deserve to be well-known, well-paid, and wanted. For more episodes, please subscribe to the podcast on your favourite channel or follow us online. The links are in the description below.